That's quite a tough
Some would say that one of the real reasons why this discussions was extended was because the concerns that the commercial banks had about it, and that might be the factor, not what other sectors might be worried about this. But for you, do you think that there's really an option for these commercial banks? And some are saying they play a very significant role in this economy, that if things are not managed well, we could dip so low that we should be talking about recovery in the next 5 or 10 years.
You mean concern of commercial banks around
the consent,
program?
And the consent.
No, it is very, very well founded, and I think it's much more fundamental than that, because I've spent all my life in banking since 1984 to 2022. I left. I spent my life in, and the piece of paper everybody saw on was Ghana government guarantees. And I often, unfortunately for most of my career, I worked for foreign banks, and therefore I had to face boards and my capital providers to tell you, Ghana, as any emerging market, has often short-term challenges. What works for Ghana is long-term credibility. Long-term credibility. We would come round and do the right thing. Now, and we always did until now. So yes, all the short-term challenges we had in the past, we resolved because we retained long-term credibility in government and in our systems. But at the moment, with what is being faced, is the long-term credibility of the government and our financial system, which is being challenged, not even a short-term problem. So the banks are surely concerned because, number one, that paper, bonds, they are all issued with the approval of Parliament and therefore carries the seal of the state. Now, without a state of emergency, without any clearly articulated force majeure, you know, it is just declared non-performing. That is worrying. So park that one day. And government is the largest player in the macro situation. Now, then you come back and look, and some of the investments banks make in this are part of the statutory requirements that this is areas that you are recommended to park deposits just so that you can keep the system safe, because government is riskless. Now, so if that risk bubble bursts, then come back to your risk book and say, any other exposure I have in my book that has a direct and indirect receivable from government has to be impaired. Now, every risk that you assess has a balance sheet implication. So all of that now washes through and your capital is wiped off. So that's why the banks are worried. And remember that the ratio between equity, which is the owner's funds, and depositors' funds is very large. Depositors largely are responsible for banks. So if the business you've done, largely with depositors' money, is severely impaired, think about the liquidity, which is depositors coming to say, we want our money back. How do you handle it? So it's not an easy time now to be sitting and running a bank.